In the land of Zuberi, where the earth is red and the sunsets speak in golden tongues, there lived a man whose name made people pause. Tund, the youngest billionaire in the country. A man whose looks could stop a room and whose money could buy silence in a storm. But inside, Tund was tired. Not of wealth, not of success, but of love. You see, every woman he met only saw what he had, never who he was. Every smile hid expectations. Every embrace measured the weight of his wallet. He longed for something real. Someone whose eyes didn't widen at the sight of his car, but at the sound of his laughter. And so, one night, he did the unthinkable. He left it all behind. He disappeared from his mansion. His companies, the flashing cameras and gold-plated doors, and reappeared. As a beggar, in a small village, hidden from the cities. With nothing but dust on his shoes and hope in his heart. What he would find there would change his life forever. This is the story of the Beggar Billionaire. A tale of hidden truth, unexpected kindness, and love tested in the fire of poverty. In the golden city of Aramu, where palm trees sway like dancers and the night smells of hibiscus and spice, lived a man who owned more than kings. His name was Tund Alaba. Young, handsome, brilliant. A billionaire by the age of 30. His face graced the covers of business magazines. His speeches made crowds cheer. His cars lined with gold purred like lions across the streets. But there was one thing he could never seem to buy. Love. Real love. Not the kind that came with flattery and fine wine. Not the kind that wilted when the money wasn't flowing. He had dated models, princesses, actresses, but all left him emptier than before. Their hearts danced to the rhythm of his bank account, not his soul, and it broke something inside him. At night, he would stand on the balcony of his high-rise penthouse, looking down at the endless lights of the city. But the lights never touched the darkness in his heart. Do they love me? He would ask his reflection. Or do they love what I have? He remembered his late mother's words. Son, if you ever doubt love, take off your crown. Step down. Let someone love the man, not the king. Those words haunted him. Until, one morning, he woke up with a strange calm and made a decision that would change his life forever. Tund disappeared. No farewell, no press conference, no announcement. He left behind his penthouse, his phones, his private jet. He took only a backpack, a few old clothes, and a small amount of money, not billions, just enough to survive. He changed his name to Kobia, name meaning one who asks, and boarded a bus heading far away from the city, deep into the rural heart of the country. He would live among the people. No one would know who he was. No riches, no power, just his mind, his hands, and his heart. After days of travel, he arrived in Imbalia, small, dusty village with cracked roads, warm people, and stories whispered beneath mango trees. Chickens crossed the road freely. Children played with sticks and laughter. The air smelled of roasted maize and red clay. He found an old mango tree near the market and made it his spot. People stared. Some offered him pity, others side eyes and suspicion. But he said nothing. He watched. He listened. And slowly, he began to live like them. No one knew he was once the most sought-after man in the country. Now, women turned their heads away. Market vendors ignored his greetings. Children mocked his torn shirt and dusty sandals. Even the baker refused to sell to him on credit. And yet, something about this life made him feel more human than ever. He felt pain. He felt hunger. And he saw the truth. People treat you based on what they think. You are not who you truly are. Then one day, something changed. A girl appeared in the early morning light, carrying a tray of bread on her head, flour on her cheeks, and a quiet strength in her steps. Her name was Amina. She ran a small bakery with her mother's old recipes. She didn't stare or judge. She looked him straight in the eye and handed him a loaf of bread. "Eat," she said. "I baked too much." That moment changed everything. Tund looked down at the warm bread in his hands. No one had offered him anything since he arrived. "Thank you," he whispered. "Don't thank me," she replied. "Promise to share with someone else next time." In that moment, beneath the dusty mango tree, the first seed of something real was planted. The night was warm when Tund left. No servants followed. No security detail trailed behind. He wore no gold, carried no card. Just a dusty satchel, a faded cloak, and a single photograph of his mother, who had always told him, "One day, son, your heart will need what your money can't buy." He traveled for days, stopping at tiny settlements, speaking little, moving often, until finally he reached Umbalia village, untouched by time. Thatched roofs, narrow clay roads, chickens running freely, laughter spilling from open windows. Children with wide eyes and dusty feet. It was here he decided to begin again. At first, the villagers stared. A stranger, dressed in rags, sitting under the mango tree, speaking with polished diction but sleeping on the cold ground. Some said he was cursed. Others whispered he was a thief hiding from justice. No one trusted him, except one. Her name was Amina. She ran her late father's bakery at the edge of the village. Modest, hardworking, with flour often dusting her face and kindness in her eyes. The first day she saw him, she didn't flinch. Instead, she approached, holding out a small loaf of bread. "You look hungry," she said. "I don't have much, but I have this." Tund was stunned. Not by her beauty, though she was beautiful, but by her gesture. She didn't ask who he was, didn't demand a favor or gossip behind his back. She simply gave. "Why would you give bread to a beggar?" he asked. Amina smiled gently. "Because tomorrow I might be one too, and I hope someone would feed me." From that moment, something shifted. Tund began helping in small ways, cleaning the bakery's porch, carrying flour sacks, chasing chickens out of her shop. He never asked for payment, and she never asked for explanation. Days passed, then weeks. Villagers grew used to him, though still wary. Children called him Uncle Dust, but Amina called him Kobe, which meant one who listens. At night, he would sneak out and help others too. Rebuilding a fence for the blind herbalist. Fixing the broken well pump behind the mosque. Still in rags, still unnoticed, but earning quiet respect. Yet he always avoided one thing, revealing who he truly was. One day, while Amina was kneading dough, she asked softly, "Kobe, if you could be anything in the world, what would you be?" He hesitated, then smiled. "Free." She looked puzzled. "But you are free now." "Not really," he whispered. "Not until someone sees me. Not what I wear or own." Amina studied him carefully. And for the first time, she began to wonder, who was this man? Really? The peaceful balance soon cracked. One morning, an old sack he kept near the bakery ripped open. Inside, it hidden deep were gold coins. Heavy, real, shining. A boy saw them and ran to tell his mother. Within hours, the entire village buzzed. The beggar wasn't poor. He was something else. Maybe a criminal, maybe a prince, maybe someone dangerous. People who had ignored him now greeted him with honeyed smiles. Women who had once sneered at Amina for feeding him now offered him mangoes and compliments. The chief's daughter Fatima even tried to give him a new robe. But Tund saw it all, and it broke his heart. Only Amina stayed the same. Still simple, still warm, still giving him half a loaf, not questions. That night, Tund made a decision. He left a note on her doorstep. It read, "If you believe in the man behind the dust, meet me in the capital." In 3 days, Ask for Tund at the Royal Pearl Mansion. If you don't come, I will understand." Then he vanished once again. Amina stared at the letter in her hand, her heart pounding harder than the bakery's old kneading machine. "Tund," she whispered. But he was Kobe. 4 minutes she stood still in front of her door, the morning sun creeping over the rooftops of Mbali. The village was already alive with rumors. "He's a prince." "No, a spy." "He's part of a gold cartel." Amina ignored them all. She closed the shop, packed only what she needed, and quietly boarded the morning truck heading toward the city. The journey took nearly 2 days. Bumpy roads, dust storms, long stares from fellow passengers who wondered why a village girl was heading to the capital alone. She clutched the note tightly. It was the only proof she had that she wasn't losing her mind. She had questions. Many? Was it a trick? Was he truly a billionaire? Why had he pretended? What would he expect from her now? But more than anything, her heart was curious. Curious about a man who sat quietly in pain, who helped without seeking thanks, who, even in rags, felt richer than most men she'd ever seen. The city was enormous. Glass towers touched the sky. The streets smelled of roasted peanuts, fuel, and ambition. Her simple clothes, and worn sandals, made her stick out like a papaya in a box of imported apples. But she held her head high. "Excuse me," she asked a guard in front of a huge black gate. "I was told to ask for Tund. This is the Royal Pearl Mansion." The guard narrowed his eyes. "And you are?" "Amina, from Mbali." The guard paused, then nodded slowly, and pressed a button. The gates opened. The mansion was more beautiful than anything Amina had imagined. Water fountains danced in the courtyard. Marble lions guarded the doors. A woman in crisp white led her through long golden halls to a giant garden. Flowers bloomed like rainbows in spring. And there, beneath a royal fig tree, he stood, Tund. No rags, no dust, just a crisp linen shirt, polished shoes, and eyes she would have recognized anywhere. "You came," he said, quietly. "You were Kobe," she replied. "I still am," he smiled. "Only now, I have to ask you something. The most important question of my life." He took a step forward. "If you had known I was rich from the beginning, would you still have treated me the same?" Amina blinked. Her lips trembled. "I don't know," she whispered, "but I know this. I fed the man who had nothing. I laughed with the man who fixed broken doors. I missed the man who left me with only a note." She paused, then smiled through tears. "If that man was you, then yes, I loved you before I even knew your name." Tund knelt to the ground, right beneath the fig tree. From his pocket, he pulled a simple ring. Not diamond, not gold, just silver, carved with the image of a loaf of bread. "Will you marry me, Amina?" Not the billionaire, not the beggar, just the man. And without hesitation, Amina said, "Yes." A week later, the entire village of Mbali overflowed with laughter, music, and tears. The once mysterious beggar now stood in fine Agbada robes, his bride radiant in silk and beads. The villagers were humbled. The chief, now quiet. The girls who had mocked Amina now clapped and danced. Tund had chosen their own humble, kind, and true as his queen. And in the middle of it all, Amina whispered to him, "I don't need a mansion. I just need the man who listened." The wedding was unlike anything the village had ever seen. From the largest city came musicians, chefs, dancers, and dignitaries. But Tund made one thing clear: no luxury, no gold chairs, no silk tents. "I want the wedding simple. I want it to honor her Ramana, the woman who fed me when the world turned away." The villagers strung lanterns from tree to tree. The children decorated the bakery with flowers. Old women pounded yam with joy in their hearts. And in the center of it all stood Amina, modest, graceful, and glowing. Guests from the city looked around in wonder. "He could have rented a palace," whispered one man in a tuxedo. "But he chose this," asked another. "Yes," Tund answered from behind them, smiling. "Because this is where I found something money couldn't buy." He danced with Amina to the sound of talking drums. He greeted the old baker who taught her recipes. He lifted a child on his shoulders and laughed like a man reborn. But even on days of joy, darkness waits quietly. Not everyone celebrated. Out of love. Behind the smiles were sharp tongues. She trapped him. He could do better than a bakery girl. She knew all along who he was. She's just clever. These whispers found their way to Amina. At first, she ignored them. But by the second night, the words grew louder, colder, crueler. The village fountain. A woman confronted her. "Now that you wear gold bangles, you forget where you come from. Or were you always just lucky?" Amina remained calm. "Love isn't luck," she said gently. "It's what's left when luck runs out." The next morning, Amina awoke to find her name on the front page of the national news. Village girl marries billionaire, true love or hidden scheme. Paparazzi now stood outside the bakery. Amina's privacy shattered. Her story twisted, and Tund, Cade, had gone silent. He had left early that morning. No note, no goodbye. The villagers panicked. He left her. We knew it. She should have known her place. But Amina did not cry. She cleaned the bakery, baked her bread, and waited. That afternoon, in the capital city, a large charity event was underway. The richest men and women of the country had gathered. Tund stepped onto the stage. "I was born into wealth," he began, "but I never knew love. So I became a beggar to find it." Gasps echoed. People leaned forward. "I met someone who gave to me not because I had power, but because I had none." She is not a gold digger. She is gold itself refined, radiant and rare. If anyone doubts her, doubt me. For I wore the disguise. She saw my soul beneath it. Cameras flashed. Reporters stood speechless. Across the country, TV screens showed his face, eyes full of pride and tears. Her name is Amina. She is my truth. That night, as the stars returned to the Umbali, Sky, Tund came back to the village. He found her where she always was, baking. "You didn't come to the event," he teased. Amina looked up and smiled. "The oven doesn't clean itself," he laughed. "You are the only queen who still needs dough on her honeymoon." "Because I don't need to prove anything," she said softly. "I already found my treasure." They sat beneath the same tree where he had first eaten her bread and watched the fireflies dance. That night, there were no cameras, no questions, just two souls stitched by honesty. Years passed. The bakery still stood in the village of Umbali now, painted, expanded, with walls of hand-painted murals and benches carved by local artisans. But its soul remained unchanged. Behind the counter, Amina still greeted customers with the same smile. And somewhere in the back room, Tund still helped knead dough. When he wasn't busy managing schools, health clinics, and the foundation he'd built in her name. They had two children, twins, bridewinds, with curls like clouds and questions like rain. One evening, as the sun fell behind the baobab tree, the children sat at their father's feet. "Papa," the boy asked, "is it true you used to be poor?" "No," said his sister. "Mama says you were rich." Tund chuckled. "Both are true, my loves. I had everything. And nothing." The children looked confused. He told them the story of the rags, of the bread, of the girl with flour on her cheeks who gave without expecting. They listened in awe, wide-eyed, as if hearing a fairy tale. Later that night, as Tund walked alone by the village road, a group of young boys greeted him. "Uncle, tell us again how you became a billionaire beggar." He smiled. "I didn't become one. I always was. I just took off my crown and found my heart." One boy asked, "But why?" Tund knelt down, brushing the dust with his hand. "Because money can buy a throne," he said, "but only truth can give you peace." The villagers never forgot. They taught their children the story of the man who walked among them in silence, who proved that humility was wealthier than pride. Girls were taught not to seek gold, but goodness. Boys were taught that strength lay in honesty, not in status. The story of Tund and Amina became more than legend. It became a light. And so, dear listener, if one day you see a man in rags sitting beneath a tree, look again. It might be a king, waiting for someone to see beyond the dust. And if you ever give with nothing in return, know that the universe writes it down. And one day, we'll find that love, truth, and kindness are the real riches of the soul. Asterisk, asterisk, thanks for watching. Hoped you liked it. If you watched till the end, please comment "end" so that we could understand you were with us till the end. As well as, please let us know, where are you watching from? Before leaving, please hit the subscribe button, comment your thought, and share with your nearest and dearest one. See you in the next one. Until to the next one, stay happy. Goodbye.